Commons as a British health official announced to the world that their son had died from eating contaminated meat.
The committee have concluded that the most likely explanation at present is that these cases are linked to exposure to BSE before the introduction of the specified bovine offal ban in 1989.
Will the Secretary of State admit that it is his government's reckless disregard for public health and their dogma of deregulation which has swept us into this crisis?
The world just exploded. But for us, the world had exploded in a different way, because we were hearing publicly on TV, in our Houses of Parliament, facts about our own son's death, and we'd never been told. I mean, it was a disgraceful way to learn such personal information.
The victims' parents couldn't help but wonder whether they too were at risk.
And it was very difficult to understand as to why we had not contracted it and Nina had.
And people are often very concerned because they say, well, our whole family ate the same thing. What are the risks to my other children, my husband, that kind of thing.
I'm not going to eat it until they have done something about it, something that reassures people enough so that it's okay to eat it.
We're all worried people. I don't suppose it'll drive us bankrupt, I don't suppose it'll drive us under, but it will have a tremendous effect on our income.
There is no cure for new variant CJD. Scientists believe that the most infectious part of a cow is the brain and spinal cord tissue, which may have been used in sausage, ground beef, and meat pies. Those parts are no longer used in food products. Cow flesh, blood, and milk have never been found to contain mad cow disease, but critics point out that those tests aren't definitive. Logic suggests that millions of Britons ingested the infected meat, not just those who died. There has been genetic testing which suggests that some individuals are more genetically susceptible to prion diseases than others. When news of the connection between mad cow disease and new variant CJD was announced, most restaurants and fast food chains in England stopped using British meat. Many European countries banned the import of British cattle and meat, as did the United States.
50% of my business up until last week is export, either to Europe or to third countries. That was stopped last Thursday night. The rest of my business is in the UK to people like McDonald's. That has stopped overnight as well.
Besides the prion theory, another is that it depends on the amount of infected meat one ingests, and no one knows why new variant CJD strikes mostly young people.
One of the possible explanations is that younger people, through their eating habits, they eat a lot of junk food, a lot of processed food, a lot of cheaper meat cuts, that they had much greater exposure to the agent. The other possible explanation is that young people, purely because they are young, are more susceptible to these agents.
There have been very few cases of mad cow disease and new variant CJD in other parts of the world. To date, there have been none in the United States. The United States government has banned the practice of feeding most sheep and cow remains to cattle. And the practice has been banned in England as well, but not before more than 170,000 cows in Britain had to be destroyed. The herds have been closely monitored for any signs of BSE or mad cow disease ever since. The Churchills and the Sinnotts no longer eat beef products, and they wonder if more could have been done to prevent the spread of mad cow disease to their children.
It's going to take a long time for the scientists to know exactly what did happen and why Nina died, and why so many young people of her age group.
By 1998, 25 young people in Britain had died of new variant CJD. Due to its long incubation period, scientists cannot predict how many more are destined to die.
Nobody in the world yet knows whether The number of cases of new variant CJD is going to fritter along at 3 or 4 a year for the next several years and then disappear, or whether these 3 or 4 cases a year for the past 4 or 5 years is the leading edge of an epidemic of unknown dimensions.
Of course, it worries me very much. It's impossible, I think, at this stage to effectively predict what's going to happen. Clearly, the idea of tens of thousands of young people suffering from such a devastating neurodegenerative disease is terrifying, really. We don't know how many people are going to be affected, and I think that at the moment, there is really no way of predicting it. It could be a large number, it could be a small number.
I think any family who have had to endure what our family has, and to see a young life destroyed, would find it very hard to eat beef again, knowing that there is no way of knowing what you're eating is safe, and nobody can give you absolute assurance that it is now safe or will be safe in the future.
So far, none of the other families, including ourselves, have had other victims in the families. There's none of them connected. So we just have to wait and see and wait for the science to give us the answers.
I used to think cows are lovely animals. We had a farm in the family. We used to go there. I used to spend my summer holidays there. Steve and Helen spent their summer holidays there, went as a family. We used to feed calves, and we used to go and stroke the cattle. And the cattle have the most lovely eyes. Not now, not for me. They have haunting eyes. They have a sinister look. Because could that animal be harbouring the disease? I don't know.